Welcome to Real Life Without Excuses. I am America's Supermom. They don't ever hear about the father of 15.
LaChelle Adkins, always want to have a large family, so I'm excited about that.
What is it that you have really grown to appreciate when it comes to having a large family?
I just feel like I'm stronger already in numbers.
I saw you on his show, so I reached out to you, and now here we sit.
I love that. This is one of the things that a lot of people are intimidated about when it comes to networking and getting out of your comfort zone. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We are so excited to get started with this conversation about emotional relationships. So I'm excited to be here with one of my co-hosts. I have Raschell, who is here with me, and I want to thank you guys for joining us today. This is a no excuses panel. So the first clip you saw is a live stream TV series that we are partners on, Raschell as well as Mistilei Wriston. And I believe she'll be joining us momentarily. But we're all about no excuses, having those hard conversations, the elephants in the room that a lot of people avoid. We like to face them head on and empower ourselves to be the best version of ourselves. So we're excited today to be joined with a men's panel talking about how we can develop safe emotional relationships. So before we get into that, I want to give us the opportunity to introduce ourselves. I am LaChelle Adkins, also known as America's Supermom, mother of 15 children. And my platform is all about emotional wellness and mental wellness. I believe that after my own journey, the importance of being able to have these spaces that you could talk, because I struggled with 13 years of depression and 3 hospitalizations. So from that experience, I created my own signature coaching program that I call Fresh Start. And I'm also a podcaster, a TV producer, all things around working towards having those conversations about depression, anxiety, and some of the unpopular topics. So I'm excited to be here today and for today's conversation. And I'm going to yield the mic to you, Raschell, for your intro.
Oh, thank you so much, LaChelle. So my name is Raschell Harlingten. I am a CEO of the Roots for Success, which is my company. I'm a transformational coach. I help people understand their blueprints and shift their stories and really recognize, rewrite, and realign where they need to be. I am a self-published author, and I'm also a podcaster of the Transformational Soul Talks, where I get to share so many women's stories worldwide on how they transform their lives, where they were and where they are now. And as I've always said, if that one story can change someone's life, then I've done my job. So thank you.
That. Love that. So what are you most excited about with today's conversation?
I'm really excited about listening to the other side. I mean, we've had a lot of conversations where we've had a lot of women on. So this will be interesting to get the male perspective. I'm really interested to dive deep into that and see where it goes. So
awesome. Well, we want to thank all of you guys that are joining us. I see there are lots of comments coming in, and I'm not the best multitasker. So I got to focus on one thing because I can get lost in the sauce, y'all. So we are going to be trying to man through some of these comments as we go along, but we only have a short amount of time. So we want to make sure that we really dive into the content. So don't take it personal. If you're like, I made this comment, she didn't even say anything. That's what's going on. Okay. So we are going to be joined by our panel right now. So we're going to start with, as I bring you up, we're going to introduce you guys, give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. Let me take that back. I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. And then the first question we have is, we're talking about emotional relationships. We're talking about mask or certain things that we feel that we have to show up as men, whether it's not masculine to cry or some of these other myths or things that we hear. So the first question is, what are some of the things that we are dealing with that other people have no clue about? Some of the things that are being hidden behind the mask. So we'll do our intros, and then that's the question to give you a few minutes to think about your answer. So we'll start with Mike. Mike is here, and you just go around, introduce yourself, and we'll get into this conversation. You're muted, Mike.
Like watching a bad Godzilla movie, wasn't it? Just the mouth moving but no sound. All right. So you good, sweet Jesus. All right. So do you want me to introduce myself and then give my 2 cents, or be a gentleman and wait for my 2 cents?
Let's just have you say your 2 cents with your intro, and we'll go around.
All right. Well, good. You're probably gonna get 18 cents, but that's okay. So if you haven't known, I am Mike Ashabraner. I am the redneck financial coach and business mechanic, pro business mechanic, doing business consulting, working out of my shed and having a ball. And been blessed to have all these amazing people like Supermom and all the people in the chats there. Nicole, I see Becky, all those great folks. So yeah, I am a blessed and fortunate dude, all due to networking and relationships and not being full of doo-doo. See, I watch my mouth for you, doo-doo. All right. And yeah. Oh, by the way, I have a Hounds of Business, the happy hour that you have been on, LaChelle, and got me in trouble. You, me picking on you got me in trouble on my own show. So I let her come back, though. She's a nice lady. So anyway, shameless plug, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. All right. As far as I know, I mean, I used to be a firefighter, common laborer, worked hard for a living. Thank God I don't have to do that anymore. So I see people working on the highway, working hard. I said, woo, I had 20 years of that. I don't miss that. All right. So you have to have a facade of being tough and all of that kind of stuff, especially living, country wise. And the truth of the matter is it doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't just because you're acting tough and making it act like it and putting on your game face and act like it doesn't bother you. It's still bothering you. And so, in fact, it's growing and festering day in and day out. And so my whole message is, drop it, drop the act. The real manly thing to do is to acknowledge you're not perfect. Now acknowledge you have issues and confide in the right people. Go out and find people that can relate to you. Don't talk about this to bad people. They'll make you feel worse. But there's a lot of good people that out here who can relate to what you're going through. And a matter of fact, in my experience with the network that's 88% women, you get a lot more respect from men and women when you try not to hide it and you deal through it and you come over the other side of that journey from depression, anxiety, whatever it may be. So there's many masks, and I'm glad to see a panel full of other men from different walks of life that are saying, hey, drop that stuff. That's not healthy. All right. It's not even helpful. It's not even profitable.
I love that. I love that. And, there was this quote that I heard one time that when you're silent about some of the things that are bothering you to others, you're really starting a war with yourself. So I love how you said it's still bothering you. All right. So next we're going over to Dominic. Hey.
Hey. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, LaChelle, for having me. Dominic Dixie here in Charlotte, North Carolina, by way of Indiana. Small business owner, background in sales, marketing, and merchandising and project management. And just for clarity's sake, LaChelle, can you restate the question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are some of the masks that men hide behind? Because, we don't even know what some of these are, especially being women. It may not even be on our radar.
Mm-hmm.
I think between men and women, I think it will help generally, and a general understanding that men have a let me fix it attitude. So if they're presented with a problem, I think genetically and generally we're solution minded. And the more activity you have in your life, the busier your mind gets. So as you're constantly scanning and analyzing your environment, being mindful that all that could be exacerbated by the environment that you're in, if you're executive CEO or senior VP, and or if you have a number of children, there's a tremendous amount of responsibility and stress that comes along with that. So as for me, it's sometimes hard to turn my brain off. I'm constant, even when I'm going to bed, I'm thinking about, okay, what was today? What did that look like? Did I learn anything? You know, what was my stress level like? And then you just kind of fold over into tomorrow. What's going on tomorrow? What obligations do I have? So I'm constantly thinking about what's going on, and it's important to have, as Mike said, a support system where someone who knows you well can observe you and say, "Hey, man, don't be too hard on yourself, possibly." Or, when was the last time you took a break? Or, have you done anything for yourself lately? Or, hey, let's go grab some lunch. So, first is that, you know, our minds can constantly move all the time. I'd say another thing that maybe other people should recognize, that sometimes, more times than not, men hold themselves to a very high standard. And for myself, I can be tremendously hard on myself. And one of the things that I've had to learn is that there is no such thing as perfection, and to look for progress over perfection. And this is an area that I'm still, you know, attempting to develop, to grow in. But we live in a world that is so results oriented that, you know, if you're not a high performer, or you don't give a little more than 100%, it could be misconstrued as you don't necessarily care. And years of performing, you adopt a mentality where you've always got to be running on all cylinders, and that is not healthy. So, recognizing that, okay, it's okay to hand in a project that would be considered a B from your perspective. Your B might be an A plus to someone else. So, you know, being mindful of that perspective that a man might have, I think, will be beneficial for others.
I love that, you know, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. You know, I had this guy who was a motivational speaker, and he was dealing with a potential client, and the client was like, well, when do the butterflies go away? Because, you know, they were hiring him because they just felt like his presentation was flawless, and he was somebody they wanted to learn under. And he said, well, the key is not to get rid of the butterflies, but have the butterflies fly in formation. So when we think about some of these traits that you're saying about solution oriented, or, you know, working on options to solve a problem, it's not something that we totally want to get rid of, but how can we manage it so that
Yes.
it works for us, rather than, you know, having us going all different directions. This is great stuff. And I'm taking notes, y'all. So if y'all see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. So now we're over to Paul. So Paul, good to see you today.
Hello, LaChelle, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this and for allowing me to speak. My name is Paul Deitch, and I am a financial strategist, speaker, and entrepreneur. And I'm originally born and raised in Hawaii, but I moved to Florida over the past year to start my journey of entrepreneurship. And I think when you're bringing up this question of what is something that a lot of people aren't maybe sharing or kind of hiding emotionally, for me, there's two things that really come to mind, being that I grew up with my grandparents. I think men in that generation were really taught that emotion was like a sign of weakness. So whenever you were dealing with things, you didn't necessarily share it. And I think that one of the things that I tried to do for, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 years of my life was just push through a lot of things. You know, I was going through a lot of things that I couldn't really talk about because we weren't encouraged to. And I would always try to bury myself in work or trying to find other things. But I think deep down, it really does come down to your relationship with yourself. And I think that's why personal development and conversations are so important, because the person that you're going to spend the most time with is going to be yourself. You know, when I'm traveling or when I'm sleeping and all these type of things, you're always in your own head, and it's important to make sure that the relationship that you're building with yourself is the most important one. And I think the other thing for me was that we try to take care of other people first before we take care of ourselves. And I have this approach, right, where a lot of people think that helping people is like a selfless thing, but I actually think it's a selfish thing, because I always tell people, like, no matter what I do in the finance world, like, I'm always willing to trade. You know, the fact that you get to impact and change people's lives or something that you can't measure on a financial scale. And I think that the biggest thing that I've learned, I guess, to take away from, you know, when I'm connecting with other men is that you need to start the conversation. It's very hard for them to be like, oh, hey, you know, this is what I'm feeling. But I'll always like ask a question or something. And that is usually something that will expand on that conversation. And I think it really does come down to, you know, are you being honest with yourself? We had a great conversation yesterday in one of my groups, and my mentor asked the question, are you a lion or are you lying? You know, I think we spend so much time trying to put up this front and facade, but at the end of the day, a lot of the things that we care about aren't going to matter, you know, and that's like one of the things I was saying.
I mean, that was just a mic drop moment there, but I love the whole thing about taking care of others first is selfish. Paul, can you please just tell everybody how old you are again? I know I always say this.
Oh, I'm 25.
I mean, that wisdom at that age, I'm telling y'all, he's going to be dangerous in the next couple years. So,
And I still ain't that wise. I'm not even that wise
that's
now.
what I'm
I'm
saying.
going to leave. I'm upset.
So next we have Matt. Matt is all the way across the pond, so to speak. So Matt, over to you.
Thank you, LaChelle. Please excuse my throat. I have a few complications of illness, and it's not very good. My name is Matt Allen. I am founder of Kudos, the first social benefit network. It's aiming to change the way that business is done, and part of the reason why I'm here, I guess, is because I spoke to LaChelle about that a few months ago, and I consider her to be my friend. Thank you, LaChelle, for having me along. So I'm slightly different to most of the guys here in the sense of, number one, I'm from across the pond, but that makes me still the same. I'm still a guy. I'm slightly different to the fact that I don't have a full career. I, since June of last year, have started working again, but before that, I was not working for about 15 years. So I have an experience of success and an experience of living in dire surroundings, poverty, illness, depression, suicidal thoughts. I have some illnesses, and the throat is just one of them. Things that I have to contend with as a person. And that's the thing, like, sure, we're 7 people here. We're 5 guys and 2 ladies. Notice I said ladies and guys. But the fact of the matter is that we're all people. And really, there is so little difference between us as people. And yet we're all so very unique. You look at me, and I'm the guy sat here with the shirt and the tie and the sports coat on in American. It's called a jacket in England. But you look at me and you think, oh, this guy, he must be the guy who's the top of a company because he's got the shirt and the tie on. He's probably the most misogynistic man in this group, potentially. He's possibly the guy who is pushing people around and finding ways to exploit people, to make the best out of his business, to walk all over people to get ahead. My message, I guess, for today is that I've been on LinkedIn for 4 months, really. I've grown in the last month by 100%. And that is filled with both ladies and gentlemen. And both sides of that coin are shiny and bright and brilliant. And the thing that I come across in my life is that for guys, there's a lot of difficulties, just the same as ladies, but there's a lot more support and groups that I see that support ladies, and there isn't much of that for guys. And LaChelle, you can speak to this. The reason why I managed to get along here is because when we last spoke, I was telling you about a thing that I'm trying to do with some amazing guys that I've come across on LinkedIn. And there isn't a group for those guys to get together. There isn't a group of or a place for us to be able to speak together and just encourage people and just hang out and be guys and face problems that we face together. But I don't think it's about that. I think it's about, we get told that there are groups of people, but there are no groups of people. There are people. And sure, we all have differences. And sure, maybe we need some separate groups for men and for ladies, and a group for all of us together, like this group here today. But really, we are people, and we just need to support each other, think about each other, and think about the best way to make life better for everybody. That's what I've got to say.
Love that. I mean, I love that piece about having empathy for other people, you know, and vulnerability. I mean, I think we wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for our courage to be vulnerable about these topics, because, you know, people just don't have them on their forehead or somewhere written down where everybody understands what they're going through. So really appreciate your transparency, Matt. And I think it is conversations like these that really will help us to turn the corner on some of these stereotypical mindsets that really don't serve anybody. So thanks so much for being here. And last but not least, we have Alex, who is here with us. So Alex, please take it away.
Oh man, I'm fired up to be here. Like, I'm like this all the time, y'all. So like, I am so excited. Dominic, you being in Charlotte, I'm actually out of Wakanda, aka Asheville, North Carolina. So we're pretty much neighbors. Paul, you being 25, dude, that's awesome. I'm 33, so I'm not too far removed from you. As far as Matt, man, you are one of the finest chaps on this call right now. I feel underdressed being here, like for real. And redneck finances, really, bro, really? I love that, Mike. I got to know more about that. That's so. Listen, I hit a deer the other day, and I needed one of my country friends to help me out, like help me skin that sucker so I could take it home. You might be the one I need to know. I know, that's right? I might need to talk to you about that for real. But my name is Alex Cardona. It's such an honor to be here on this call. I'm fired up to be here. I'm fired up like this always. And the reason why is, to be quite honest with you, well, first, let me get into what I do, and then we'll talk a little bit about the question, a little bit about my journey. So with that, I'm the CEO of Cardona Business Solutions. I do business consulting. I start off with helping with business owners get access to the justice system through a program called Legal Shield, one of the top producers in Legal Shield in the state in North Carolina. And the reason why I got involved with that is because I was in a situation personally where I got pulled over and went from, sir, where you going? Or, sir, step out the car, to dog searching the car. And I had no legal representation. So when I realized that there was a program out there that can help people of color and also help business owners with their legal operations in their business, I was like, yo, this is a no-brainer. I got to do this. You know, LaChelle, I think that this is such a great question, because my story is literally 10 years ago. Yeah, I would have been dead. I would have been dead due to suicide. And I want to tell you that because, you know, when it comes down to what it is about life and what are some of the masks that men have to wear, I think that's a great question, because Kevin Hart says this. The applauses I hear on stage are never louder than the applause that I had to give to myself, right? And we as men are in situations where when we are raised or being raised, we're not really taught how to give applauses to ourselves. We're taught to compete with each other. We're taught to say, okay, well, I got the most money, or I've got the most women to sleep with, or whatever. You know, we're taught to go after the accolades, and we're not really taught to have self-assurance with just who we are. And the reason why I started going into why I had my own depressions, because as a minority, you know, you really don't have the space somewhat to really actually talk about how you feel. I've been in boardrooms, and just because I've elevated my voice to a little bit of passion, I've been told to calm down. But then another white person could tell another white person, call them something else completely outside of the realm of professionalism. But because I raised my voice, I have to calm down. So for years upon years, and even within my culture, and I had to suppress my voice. I had to suppress how I felt. I had to suppress what I was going through. And oftentimes, you know, we live in an American society where how do you get over things? Well, you go party, you go drink, you go smoke, you go, you know, you go sleep with someone else, right? Like, and that's what they tell you to do. And then eventually you find those empty victories. And when you find those empty victories, it's like, well, wait a second, you just end up losing more of who you are. One of the biggest moves that I made in my life was moving to Wakanda, aka Asheville, North Carolina, because I'm Black Panther. Shout out. All right. So with that being said, I'll tell you, I'm wild, y'all. This is how I am every day. So what's so funny about that is one of the reasons why I moved, and I'm originally from, I was raised in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I lived in Tampa, lived in Sarasota, and I'm actually not even Black. Like I just suntanned a lot. I had jaundice and things got messed up. But with that being said, my mom's from the Dominican Republic. She's an immigrant from the Dominican Republic. My dad's Puerto Rican. So growing up in South Florida, where it was hustle bustle and you're in a city, a lot of times, like for me, I couldn't be Black, and then I couldn't be white, and then I couldn't be Hispanic because I couldn't understand, you know, I couldn't speak the language, or I couldn't fit in with my Black friends because I didn't understand some of the Black culture, and then I couldn't fit in with white friends because I obviously didn't look like them. So constantly trying to figure out like where you fit in as a man is, I think, something that men always are dealing with. One of the things that I had to do to get out of that was I had to change my environment. So when I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, I found men that are doing better things than what I'm doing. Like they are showing up in life the way that I thought I would show up in life. And what's so great about that is the process of osmosis. We are 90% or 70% water, and we tend to surround ourselves, when we surround ourselves with people that are doing great things, through osmosis, we are going to become better people. And so I have surrounded myself with a core group of men that like are in business, are high producers, that have the same mindset. Some of them are younger than me, some of them are older than me. You know, so it's so great to see, you know, that I get that mentorship from them instead of having to do that battle on my own. Because when I did that battle on my own, it almost cost me my life. And so that's something that I think is so important for people to understand, that, you know, you got to be able to get outside of your environment to find other men that are good men. Not every man that you meet is trying to compete with you. That took me a long time to learn. Some men are just trying to elevate you. Some men will give you more if you're actually in a position to sit down and just listen. And like Matt was saying, show up as your authentic self. You know, at the end of the day, we're all people. And if you're able to just do that, you know, what's for you is already here for you. So, but that's my 2 cents on what we go through as men.
I love that. And people are really loving your energy. Somebody said you need to be paid by the Asheville Chamber.
I agree. Let's talk about that. We do.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to be my manager.
And you know, I mean, you guys are bringing up some really good points, and of course, we're not going to be able to dive into all of them before we leave today. I mean, this has just been wonderful, and we are going to have a part 2 in case you guys are wondering, those that are watching, because of one time frame that we have here is just not enough to really cover everything. But the next question that I would like to ask is, you know, when it comes to creating these safe spaces, we've talked about being your authentic self, and, you know, mentoring has been mentioned and things of that nature. But for somebody who is in this space of feeling like, you know, this is really a lot of their identity is attached to these accolades and these things that they believe were important, even though they're empty. You know, I love what you said, empty victories, Alex. So how can you really direct somebody who is in that space where they want more, they want these victories to be authentic and for real? How do they create these safe spaces? What would be the first step for them to take? So we'll go to Mike and then just go back around in the same order for what you feel that answer is with creating that safe space. Or is it traits to look for, or what is it that you have that's in your toolkit to help you create that safe emotional relationship?
Wow, great question. It really comes down to, I think, what a lot of the guys said, man. Paul, Matt, you got to get real with yourself. You've got to, if you don't like you and not comfortable with you, and I don't, again, not to get too deep, I don't think I'll ever know me because I'm always changing. I don't know about you, but I'm always changing. But I could understand me. And once I understand me, here's what I mean by this. I had a conversation with myself when I hit about 40, not too long ago. And it went something like this. Look, she's ready for it. I said, you know what? If I can't be happy, if I can't have peace of mind and enjoy my life for the rest of the time I got going on, doing what I do now in this career, then I'm going to go be a damn rodeo clown or something I can be happy with day by day, right? I was tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I think when we have that conversations with ourselves, the second step of progression would be to go out there and try to find birds of a feather. And that's really what I've done is that I always joke about like Zuckerberg, like I didn't have friends either, so that's why I built the giant network on LinkedIn, because I wanted people that I could just like, that I just couldn't wait for them to call me, right? I could have 6 Zooms ready, and I get up and don't want to work, and I do it anyway, and I'm amped up at the end of the 6 Zooms, right? And I think really that comes down to really just what Alex just said, and tied up in all these externals, tied up on, think about it. When people ask us, hey, how are you today? The next question usually is, what do you do? That's how ingrained this is. We talked about this last time. What do you do? Because that's going to tell us how we're going to put you on a spectrum of value. Boy, I hate that. I hate it, but that's the world we live in, right? So I think it's going out there, leading with the heart first, build friends, do good things for other people, and sort people, right? You do good things for the wrong person, that's a waste of time. But I'd like to test people. I like to play ping pong, right? So I have a feeling that if I hit the ball to Alex, like we're playing a game of ping pong and I hit it to Alex, he probably gonna hit it back. So I say, hey, Alex, how are you? He said, I'm great today. How are you, man? See? And think about that. It's real simple. When you say hello, how are you, and someone gives you that stupid thumbs up emoji, they didn't, the ball hit the chest. So I'm just telling you all, when you go to network and find people that are like you and who have the same heart as you, that's how you do it. You just go out and be you. And if someone's not reciprocating you after a couple of times, you need to find someone else to talk to. Well, how many people? 1 billion people on LinkedIn? Gee whiz, you won't run out of people. So that's my encouragement to everybody here. Take baby steps, go out there. And by the way, if you're out there doing the best you and someone doesn't like that and the group doesn't like it, that don't mean you suck. That means you're in the wrong damn place. All right. So keep trying, keep testing, get in where you fit in. Hey, and have courage. Look at me. I just do stuff. I look like a donkey every time I do something new for quite a while. But then you know what happens after courage? Confidence and skill set builds. But you got to look like a donkey in the beginning most of the time. Well, when you're me, you do. So I'm just going to encourage men and women alike, stop worrying what other people think about, because that's the wrong people saying the wrong message. There's people out there that like you as you are and help develop you into your best self. That's all I got.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. And I love that. I took lots of notes. I love leading with your heart and sorting through people. I love that. That was some good, wise words. I think that's the thing. We just think because we meet people that we don't have to sort through them. It's like, oh, they're in my family or they're in whatever. And you need to take that time to really figure out how something fits for you. So I love that. All right, Dominic, we're over to you. You're muted. You're muted.
Thank you. A few of the things that I've done to help create safe space for myself and for others is, as Mike said, get to know yourself. It's an iterative process. As you grow, you're going to change a little bit. Do as much introspection as you need and recognize patterns. So for me, if I have 3 or more consecutive days of it being gray and raining, that's kind of a trigger for me. So recognize patterns, and in those patterns, what produces those patterns? What are your triggers? And I guess maybe the third thing is whoever you trust. Mine just happens to be friends that I've known for 15, 20 years, and I'm fortunate to have more than a handful. So they've been privy to the evolution of some of the discomfort with my anxiety and occasional depression. But what I did is I asked them if they could create space for me in times when I'm not feeling my best. And during those times, I'll check their availability either with a text or a phone call. And 100 out of 100 times, 100%, any and everyone that I've asked to be available for me, all of them said absolutely. And they've shown up in very, very big ways. And my obligation to them has been, when I share with them what I'm experiencing and some of the developmental areas that I'm working to improve, I report back to them 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, not as an obligatory endeavor, but just say, hey, you, as a consequence of you being there to support me, I've known that I've made progress in this certain area, which is, it may be, for example, just learning how to be comfortable alone and sitting quietly to think about what my last few days have been like, and then are there any patterns that I can recognize, and just look backwards and say, hey, that used to be a challenge that really stressed me out, and it would be like a 10 on a 10. Now it's like a 3 on a 10. I've got a handle on that thing. And so as we cultivate this mutually beneficial relationship, I've often found that as they've been there for me, the transparency and level of comfortableness that has been cultivated, it takes on a relationship of reciprocity. They'll sometimes come to me when they're not feeling their best, and it just makes for a stronger bond with your friends or your family. It creates a scenario where, as you grow within your group, you can look back on everyone's progress and say, man, do you remember when? And you can just get some sense of enjoyment and satisfaction out of this wonderful gift that we have called life. And those are just 2 or 3 of the things that have worked for me in the past and continue to work.
Love that. I mean, that was really good. And, yesterday I had a clogged toilet, so I should have reached out to you for some of those moments. But yeah, we have our 4-year-old who just wanted to get creative in the bathroom. And so, yeah, it was a mess. But love what you said. That is really so true, having that network of people. So we are over to Paul. You leaving, Mike? Or you want to say something?
No. Yeah, I'm gonna say, because I told you this. You need to get a bunch of porta potties out there by your house. You will save on plumbing costs and water. Just 3 or 4, just like the Atlanta Falcons would do. Yes, ma'am.
You are right. Look, he lives in Louisville too, Dom. So I just wanted to let you know. But so he's not far from Indiana. But we're over to you, Paul. So what are your words of wisdom about this?
Oh man, this is a loaded question, but I'll try to sum it up, and I'll just tell you, what I did for myself. And I think the number one thing that you have to do is just put yourself out there. I think a lot, kind of going back to what I said in the beginning, right? We associate like vulnerability with like weakness. And one of my favorite sayings is that your story will be someone else's survival guide. And it's actually pretty funny how I met LaChelle. It was because I put out a post that said I wanted to speak and share my story. And LaChelle was the connection that I got introduced to, and her show was the beginning of my speaking career. And the way that I got this stage was I went on one of her audio events and I shared a quote, and it was, if you can't control your energy, you can't control your destiny. And I think that one of the most important things for people to understand is that, for me, gratitude's been a massive game changer. And I think that the most important thing is that if you're a positive person, like in person, it's a complete game changer because everybody can be positive on the internet, you know, when we're all on the screen. I've literally seen how my positivity in situations where people were like upset or concerned has shifted the entire conversation. And I think a lot of it for me that's helped me create these spaces is through writing. For a lot of us, I think it's very hard to see the picture when when you're in the picture, as they say, right? Like if you're going through something. One of the things why I love writing so much is that you're able to catch things like in the moment, and then you get back to it. And that was a huge part of my entrepreneur journey last year, was training with elite mentors in business and finance. And every time I get like stuck or I am like baffled for content or trying to figure out what, I go back to the books and I go back to all the notes and all those type of things, and it allows you to pull things when you need them.
I mean, such wise words. I'm telling you, you know, I love that part about writing. We were in a room the other day, and the person made a comment that when you write things down, you're an observer of your emotions, which is so good because, you know, this is the thing that gets us messed up. We have so many blind spots. But if you're writing it down, you can observe where those issues are and make changes. So, love that. All right. So, Matt, we're over to you. What are your words of wisdom?
Okay. So, first of all, Paul is 25. Mike is around 40. We'll just call you 40, Mike, yeah? And nothing more over that. Paul is just incredibly wise for his years, and Mike is hoping to get there soon. I'm well past it. I'm older than both of them. Perhaps if you had their ages together, then you're closer to my age than what you are to Paul's. But I think it's important to remember this. So I grew up in the north of England where there was zero different people. It was all just people like me, right? And when I was 10, we moved down to London. And I moved to the part of, well, not the part, but one of the parts that is the most culturally diverse parts of London that there is. And that part of London is very, very close to a place in Kent. And that place in Kent is one of the richest places in the whole of London area. And I went to school with a lot of my people from my area in this area in Kent. So we had a good mix of very poor, ethnically and culturally and religiously diverse groups, along with a lot of rich kids who didn't really mix with us in many respects. But we did something at lunchtime that brought us all together. Because I went to an all-boys school, and at all-boys schools in England, at lunchtime, you do two things. One of them is football, the other is fight. And let me tell you what happens with those two things. So football, you have a massive pitch or a massive concrete area that you play football on. And everybody plays together. It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter about whether you're fat, thin, wear glasses, you got hair, you haven't got hair, or you've got the best pair of trainers or just a pair of shoes to play. It doesn't matter. You want to play football with the other boys. And what tends to happen after the football, where you play as a team and you work together, pass the ball about between each other, doesn't matter about what the other person looks like, doesn't matter what they sound like, doesn't matter where they actually live. What matters is that if you can score a goal and win, you win as a team. And everybody enjoys that. But usually after the football comes a football fight, because what happens is that some boys are not happy about certain things that have happened during the match, or something else has been said during the day, and it comes to a bit of a punch up at the end of the football match. And what tends to happen is that there isn't actually a fight. There's usually a bit of a interaction before that fight, if it does happen. And that interaction goes like this. The two boys look at each other and try to identify the differences that they can point at and say, that's different about you. Look at all of us. We look like me. And whether that is because of color, or they're wearing a hat like Mike's, or I don't know, like Alex, you've got white earbuds in, doesn't matter. That's a difference. I'm not sure what you're doing with that toilet roll, Mike, but yeah, that's a big difference. But you see, that would be a difference that if I was in a fight with you, I'd go, look, Mike needs a piece of toilet roll. Ha ha ha, look at Mike. And that would be the difference. Doesn't matter anything else at all. And if I can get everybody else behind me to be on my side, I don't have to get in that fight. I just have already won. So forget about the fight. I'm winning. Sometimes there would be a fight. Usually if I was in it, I'd win. But that's another story for another time. Simple fact of the matter is, we are all people, like I said before. We all work together towards goals. We all need a team, and it doesn't matter who that team is made up of, as long as we want the same goal. We are people. We get told that we hate each other and we hate ourselves because of the hate that each other has for each other. I'm here to spread the word. There is no need for hate. There is need for love, for peace, for talking to each other, getting along, getting inside of a football team, in the sense of guys, because that's a guy's sport, to get together and win. And it doesn't need to be all boys. It's just that I went to an all boys school. What matters is that we're on the same team. We're all here today to talk about a subject because we are interested in that subject. What's that subject? That subject is making sure that people feel happier, people are healthier, people can get along, people have a place to be, some kind words to share, some honesty to give, and some love to enjoy. Because that is what people want, in my experience. People want to do better for themselves, do better for their families, do better for their communities. And if you go into their community and you're there and you put a smile on your face, and a genuine smile, I don't mean a smile that's smirk or taking a mick out of what somebody else is doing, but you open up, you're honest, you share what you have to share, and you give freely to other people, people will give you back. That's my experience. And I'm sorry, because Alex, I feel a bit sorry, not for you as a person, but for the fact that you're having to find groups of people who are just like you, rather than all the diversity and the magic and the wonder that is all sorts of people, whether they are ladies, people of different color, people of different sizes, people with blonde hair, people with red ties. The point of what I'm saying is that we're not judging people by their covers. We're judging people by the content of their souls, the content of their heart, and their ability to give that to other people. That is what we want to measure, not are they a guy, are they this, are they that, do they have a piece of toilet roll stick to their chin like that? Sorry, Mike.
That was good stuff. All right, so Alex, we are over to you. This has just been wonderful. You guys have definitely shared so much that is helpful for all of us. So Alex, over to you.
I mean, with all this knowledge, it's real hard to be a closer or be last. I want one of y'all to go last next time. Okay. Y'all gave out some real good advice, and I think all of it's relevant. So for me, let's just put it this way. For me, I'm gonna go on the faith principle. All right, and if that's okay, I'm gonna go with that, because the reason I go with that is because if I scripted out my life, had I locked the door, Alex Cardona is not here. And Alex Cardona is living a life that is not necessarily his. It's leased by a higher power. Okay. And we're not going to go into all of that, but I just want to let you know that that's where I'm coming from with this. So with that being said, there's something in the scripture that says that the Lord has your name in rooms way before you walk in them. And I like to believe that the rooms that you're in is just as important as the rooms that you're not in. And so when it comes down to like who you're surrounding yourself with, what are you surrounding yourself by? What environments are you in? What rooms do you find yourself in? Where are you spending your time? That is often delegated by how you feel about how yourself, who you are as a person, your own value. We tend to put ourselves in rooms and situations or around people because of the fact that either we feel better about them, who they are, or our position related to them as an individual, or we feel like we're less than them and we got to step up and surround ourselves almost like a peacock. We got to have more people around us that are more fluent in order for us to have more attraction. And so with that being said, one of my mentors told me this, and it is something that is like one of the cornerstones in my business journey, because I started networking in rooms where everybody was white. And it was awesome. I was the only black person in the room. And then I found a set of skills that allowed me to go to Charlotte. And I was like, oh my gosh, like everybody look like me. Hello, what's up, y'all? And it was really cool to see that same environment, see that same type of energy. And what I say by that is one of my mentors, he said, you know, it's not about the amount of money I made. It's about who I became as I made the money. Right. It's not about the amount of money I made. It's about who I became as I made the money. And so when you look at that, what are you going after? What are you obtaining? What is it that you want to do? Why are you pursuing the things that you're pursuing? And the biggest cornerstone, the biggest like compass, I like, my favorite character is Jack Sparrow inside was the Pirates of the Caribbean, because this compass is actually pointing to things that he desires. And we all are like that as human beings. What do we desire? What are we pursuing? What are we going after? Right? No one knows where the gold or the treasure is, but we're constantly just looking at the compass. And so when you come back to the compass point here, what I'm trying to say is that why are you pursuing what you're pursuing? Are you pursuing because you're trying to get accolades, and how are you going about doing that too? Because my thing is, there's no point in being on a yacht if I burn all my bridges to get there. Okay. So if you're doing those things and you are obtaining, you know, different, whatever it be, nice cars, nice homes, a lot of money, a lot of women to sleep with, because women are a part of this too. You know, we have to look at it from that perspective that, you know, culturally, societally, we are taught in a way to kind of like use our accolades as how many women we sleep with or how many women we get together with as like a measure of what a man is. Okay. And like, it's crazy, but like, that's kind of where we're at in society. Right. And what I'm saying is that if you find yourself doing those behaviors and doing those things, are you doing those things because that's genuinely who you are? Or are you trying to fill a hole and trying to fill a gap with what you're missing inside your life? Because like Dominic was saying, one of the hardest things to do is I could sit, I have the power now to sit in a restaurant completely by myself and order a menu for 5. It's kind of crazy. When people take a chair, I'm like, yo, that's my imaginary friend. I just mess with them. It's kind of fun. But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to tell you is not many people can be in the space in the digital age. Not many people can sit in a room of silence and deal with the voices in their head. Not many people can deal with some of the things that they're going through and actually face those things in the mirror and actually say, you know what, I have to become better. And really, when you look at business and you look at life and you look at anything, because I believe I have a radio show. It's called The Golden Key. And The Golden Key is all about the mindset it takes to be an entrepreneur, because I believe being an entrepreneur, you rely more on faith and self-confidence more than anything else before. But as a man, you have to go ahead. It's a balance in self-confidence, because you can't be too prideful, right? Men, what we try to do is we do things and we're like, oh yeah, I'm the best. Like, I don't need nobody. I'm all by myself. Check me out. Yo. And then on the other end of that, usually what happens is after we burn that bridge, you know, then we end up needing everybody because, oh man, I'm all alone. There ain't nobody around me, you know, because we were burning all of our bridges all along the way. And so really what I believe entrepreneurship is, I rely on God every single day, right? Because I have no idea who I'm going to impact, what opportunities I'm going to have, when I'm going to get paid and all that. But in order to do that, it's how I show up. Like Matt was saying, how you show up as an individual is everything. Because I've been able to show up as a genuine human, what's been awesome about that is white people, Asian people, Chinese, all sorts of people have given me opportunities that I never thought. I've seen my name and my I've seen myself on stages that I never thought I would be on. And I'm so grateful for that, because again, it's how I showed up. But it's because one of the things that I did to really get this thing catapulted was I changed my environment. You got to sometimes change your circles. You got to stop. I used to coach a girls basketball team, and I loved it. We didn't win any championships, but we tried. And I say that because when I said something and I was like, all right, get in the post, block this person, get that rebound, nobody wants to do it. But then my assistant coach comes along and says the same darn thing, and all of a sudden it's like a word of gold. It's like, oh my gosh, she gave me the best advice ever, coach. Did you see that rebound? I'm like, yo, I've been telling you to do that the whole darn time. Like, so sometimes when you change the voice in the locker room, you're able to hear it from a different perspective. And I think that that's what you need to do as an individual. Change the voices in your locker room. What voices are you hearing? Are you hearing, and that even comes down to, again, I'm not perfect. Anytime I talk at people or anytime I'm on platforms, I just want to emphasize this. I'm never talking at people. I'm talking with people. And I say that because it's not like Alex Cardona's hit some accolade and I'm done growing in life. That's not that. I still got a lot to go. But I say that because it even involves the music that we're listening to, right? Like what are you putting in your ear? What information are you putting inside your brain that's ultimately creating you as a human being that makes you feel that you need to do whatever it is you need to do, whether it's buy those cars, do these things. We can get so lost in the facade of the image of success and not really know who we are, right? And so I think that sitting down, knowing who we are, finding people who bring the best out of us. I'm not who I am today without other people saying, there's something about you. I really want to help you. And without those mentorships, without people pouring into me, then I wouldn't be where I'm at today. But then there's a responsibility with that. When somebody pours into you and you do get success, it is our job to be platforms and pillars and lighthouses for other people to guide their harbor and guide their ship into the same success. Because ultimately what we're doing, what our ultimate legacy is you will never take all the millions, all the cars, all the homes, all the stuff that we can obtain as men. We never can take that with us, but we can always take how we made somebody else feel, how we elevated somebody. At least I believe so. And they'll always remember that. So that's something that I go back to. These are just things that I go back to, and I've learned that help me kind of deal with some of these, the ups and downs in life, because it's a constant roller coaster. There's no up and no down.
I love that. Well, we're going to conclude with just one word. We were going to let y'all do a outro, but in the lieu of time, just one word that you would like to say to encourage, trust, vulnerability. I don't know, whatever comes up for you. So, Mike, what's your one word? You're on mute.
That's all. Sweet Jesus. All right. Hey, have you ever known me to have one word? That's
one
rude.
word.
You should have. All right.
Can you put him on mic on mute?
Intention.
Intention. I love that. Okay. Intention. Dominic, your one word.
Patience.
Okay. Paul.
Gratitude. It's changed my life the past year.
All right. Matt.
Honesty.
Love that. And then Alex.
Purpose.
This is phenomenal. These are great talking points that we could talk about in the future. So I want to thank y'all for that contribution. Let's give it up for the men, ladies. I want to thank them for being here today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are so glad that you guys have taken the time to spend with us today. And we encourage you all to reach out to them, to check on their bios, have a conversation. I encourage you all to connect, even as those that are on the panel, because you all know me, but you may not all know each other. So I encourage you guys to reach out. But thank you guys so much for joining us today. And we will be back for a part 2. So right after this quick little break, we'll be back with an outro. Okay. All right, ladies, that was awesome. That was so good. So, Misty, we're going to go to you first. What are your thoughts about what happened today, and an introduction, because we missed you?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for letting me be in at this stage. I had a little trouble getting on from my end. So thank you. I'm Misty Lee from Campground TBD Publishing. I love those words that were shared. That fits in with what I kind of support. And I love the conversation about writing. That's what I teach and help people expand their writing, whether new into publishing or republishing or just writing for their own healing and growth. So thank you. I really enjoyed what I got to hear, and I can't wait to go back and listen again.
Love that. All right. So, Raschell, what were your thoughts, your main takeaways?
Really how similar we are, men and women. It's just those societal border lines, the division that I think Matt talked about. You know, we are all people and we all still have those things. And this panel today, for me, really brought that together. You can see that they go through exactly the same things, just maybe a little bit different. So that was quite an insight, the conversation today.
I loved it. I mean, the thing about it that really so many takeaways, y'all. I've got a whole bunch of post-it notes over here. I could write a book from that. But I think the whole thing about the empty victories, I mean, that was really did it for me, because that just resonated with my journey, you know, coming from a high performance background and feeling like, you know, you have to have it all together for what? Right? You get these accolades and you're enjoying them alone, or you hate the person you became just to get those accolades. So I just loved it. It was really good. So let us know what's going on for you this week, Misty, and then we'll go to Raschell and say our goodbye.
I am, well, I'm remarketing the Quantum Writing 300 Vision Manifestation Journal because I have my love stories coming out. Hi, sweetie. I have my love stories coming out right before Thanksgiving. My goodness, right before Valentine's Day. The Quantum Love Affair. I have 2 editions coming out for that. So that's what I'm focused on. And I'm opening my campground and venue in the next 30 days. So.
Awesome.
That's exciting for the campground part of Campground TBD Publishing.
Love that. All right, Raschell, what's going on with you?
So for this week, it's kind of quiet. Next week, I have LaQuetta is on my podcast. So her episode will go live and we get to share all her amazing knowledge. And as I mentioned before, I've got my Discover Your Blueprint, which is out March the 1st, which will pre-registration starts tomorrow. So I'm very excited about that. So yeah, lots of stuff.
Okay. Well, I think I just have an audio event. We've been doing this study on Connected to Goodness that's on LinkedIn. So that is Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, we just want to thank everybody for watching with us today. This has been a wonderful conversation. We encourage you to share the content with people in your network. As you can see, my grandson is back here doing, we don't know what. Okay. But anyway, share the video. Reach out to our guests. I mean, they all are very down to earth. You would love having conversations with them. And as you can see, they have a lot of knowledge. So we would love for you guys to make those connections. And if something they said resonated with you, maybe you have a platform where you can continue the conversation. You know, it's just not always 30 minutes or 45 minutes is usually not enough time to dive into some of these deeper topics. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.